organizations to change the very nature of trusted transactions on the internet. Our next speakers are Chris Ferris and Dan O'Prey. They are leaders in blockchain technology. Has anybody here heard of blockchain technology? Yes, all right, we've all heard of it. Just say blockchain, people come running, right? Chris is a IBM Distinguished Engineer and the CTO of the Industry Standards and Software Group. Dan is currently the CMO of Digital Asset Holdings and was previously the co-founder and CEO of Hyperledger, a technology firm that developed the first permission ledger to allow financial transactions to clear and settle in real time. The Digital Asset Holdings also gave us the Hyperledger name. They literally bequeathed the mark over to the project and is now owned by the Hyperledger organization. And they're going to come up and tell us how a whole bunch of banks, a whole bunch of technology firms are going to get together and literally change the nature of money and trust on the internet. So come on up, guys. So in true Claudius there, we're actually going to co-present. Let's see how this works out. I'm Chris Ferris, and as Jim Morgan mentioned, I'm CTO of Global Tech at IBM, and I'm going to introduce Dan O'Prey, as Jim said, CMO of Digital Asset Blockchain Technology Startup for Financial Services. We're going to talk about Hyperledger, which is one of the new Liz Foundation projects that formed in February. So for those of you who don't know what, to put your hand up, don't know what blockchain technology is, you can think of it like a database. It's an asset registry that records who owns what, or an append-only log of events that update a global state that everyone agrees with. So we're not using a traditional database. Traditional databases are mostly open and mostly secure, and mostly scalable, but they're centrally administered. So one entity can modify data in that database, they can delete rows, they can even censor data from getting in there in the first place. And this creates a lot of challenges when you're interacting with different companies that are competitors who don't trust each other to record that data. So what you end up with is everyone independently maintaining their own databases with duplicative data, then disagreeing either through mistakes or even malicious activities over what the state of the actual truth is. And that results in lengthy legal action and disputes, which is very expensive. In addition to that, if I send Chris a photo, he has a copy, I have a copy, that's fine. But if I send him money or Tesla stock, he needs to know that I no longer have that, or I have already sent that to someone else. So we need to make sure that assets are transferred for anything of value, or it doesn't make any sense. So the traditional solution to this is a centralized entity such as PayPal, who you'll trust to record who owns what, and they'll move that around. But even that's quite inefficient in financial services and other industries. People don't necessarily trust that small mistakes can lead to millions of dollars of errors. And so that problem gets even worse when you're dealing with multiple different centralized entities for different assets across different geographies over the world. Moving within these networks is quite time-consuming. Moving between them is very difficult and lengthy. So we think there's a better way. So the answer is blockchain, 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 right? So essentially, the blockchain, as Dan said, is a shared distributed ledger. Everybody has a copy, the same copy of the database. It's trusted, right, because it's secure, right? And we're trading, or it's a third-party regulator that's checking out what we're doing. So in terms of the existing blockchains such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Bitcoin was specifically designed to create a censorship-resistant digital cash. Ethereum to create a distributed autonomous organization, application, platform. Ripple originates to sort of extend trust between each other and bypass banks. But none of these were really designed with the needs of enterprise and regulated financial institutions in mind. A lot of the design decisions that went behind Bitcoin are needed to create Bitcoin's application, but it's one application. It's not generalized across many applications. As a result, there's limited throughput, 3.4 to 7 transactions per second, slow confirmations, 10-minute blocks, so you need to wait for about 60 minutes to have a high degree of confidence that that's gone through. Lack of privacy. Most of these platforms are completely open, but just pseudonymous. They have anonymous processors, so you don't know who is storing your data, which location they're in, and it ends up as a concentration of mining in China. So even theoretically, businesses find it hard to trust that China could come around and attack the network tomorrow. The setup from core governance generally is quite disorganized. There are a lot of challenges that are coming to light within Bitcoin, particularly recently. Particularly there's no settlement finality, which is something that our clients really care about. It's probabilistic that transactions won't be reversed. You need to know that when a transaction's through, it's done, it's not can't be reversed. So hence, this is a new, potentially revolutionary technology that's very exciting, a lot of interest from businesses all over the world. It requires multiple specialist skills from consensus algorithms, encryption, cryptography generally, security and stability and scalability. That no one startup or large company can develop entirely themselves. It's used by multiple parties. It's decentralized by its nature, and so it's controlled and monetized by no single entity. Because of that, a strong governance model is vital to its health and to its development. And so that's why we initiated the Hyperledger project out of the Linux Foundation as we built a perfect open source project. I think that's exactly right. And so early, I should say last year, put together with Jim, McDowell, and a few others, and 30 of our closest friends, and we worked to launch the Hyperledger project, which essentially is a collaborative project within the Linux Foundation that we hope to be able to create a cross-industry open standard for blockchain, and that we can then therefore leverage this to transform industry in terms of how it uses and conducts business. So we have, as I mentioned, 30 of our closest friends at the start of Jim did a miraculous job, I think. It was like, the fishing for bluefish, right? And you just sort of throw a shoe in the water and they all kind of, there's high levels of light, And so, we went to Jim and said, hey, Jim, we think first. But this is the perfect project. And I think you're exactly right. And so, as I mentioned, Jimmy Levon was trying to sort of bring together a number of high-tech, some startups, some financial institutions, some non-financial institutions, to pull together the initial launch in February. The members, the 11 premier members are still responsible, still look to grow. And then today, we announced 10 more members who run 30% in 6 weeks. That's phenomenal. It's just fantastic. So we have a number of new additions. I think there's more in the pipeline, if I'm not mistaken. And so this continues to sort of grow. There's an awful lot of interest. Even guys from the community are starting to hang out. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And for those of you community system. There's also some elections. My boss was elected as the chair of the board. Chris was elected as the chair of the technical steering committee. It's been a fantastic job so far. We also have 2 general member elections from the CTO from Swift, the consortium of 10,000 banks, and the CEO from Edbit, another blockchain company. So it really goes to highlight the community, collaborative spirit where you've got big competitive startups that join the same initiative. So let's talk a little bit about some of the use cases that we have for the blockchain for Hyperledger technology. One that comes to mind, and actually this is one John Whitmer, one of my couple colleagues at IBM, is thinking a lot about, is supply chain transparency. You think about the way that food is produced, right? So all kinds of raw materials come together, and you don't necessarily know where all of that is coming from, or even what's in it necessarily. And increasingly we're having, especially regulatory organizations, wanting to sort of get better at tracking the provenance of where is our food coming from, whether it's GMO or non-GMO and so forth. So there's an awful lot of interest in supply chain transparency and provenance tracking. And the blockchain enables us to do this in a secure way, in a way that is tamper-proof, right? So somebody can't come along and say, oh, no, there really wasn't any GMO in this food, and we can prove that it was. So again, we can have something that's verifiable, we can prevent fraud and abuse, and we can also know if we find a bad batch or something, we can trace it all the way to where it is, and we can have a targeted recall of something if that's important, as opposed to a massive recall. The use case within financial services is syndicated loans, which is a distributed by nature as well. It's a $2.2 trillion market where big companies will come and borrow some money. That loan will then be syndicated out to multiple members, and that will be then traded. So there's no sort of central organization which manages this. There's no central technology to control the settlement. Settlement takes between 20 and 30 days. So it's extremely unusual. It's very hard to predict when it's going to settle. There's very little visibility. There's holding up the process. So they have a decentralized blockchain network. You need to create a new centralized entity. You can all see the state of everything as the loan is issued and syndicated and traded, and you can see where the process is holding up. And you can also take a hash of the documentation and set that into the token, so you can see if anything's changed, and you can instantly see that nothing has changed. I don't need my lawyers to review the whole documentation again. So always got a real-time overview of who actually owns their loan, who's on the other side, which doesn't actually exist today, amazingly. So many other use cases both across financial services and non-financial applications. Trillions and trillions of dollars markets. Secured settlement in the US is $1.6 quadrillion alone. And then obviously identity, voting, digital rights management, and the Internet of Things are all massive industries in their own right. So this is a very exciting technology that's applicable on a really broad set of use cases. Absolutely. So this sort of lends us then to the discussion around the scope. We aren't necessarily starting with a piece of technology, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But again, a lot of the systems that Dan talked about already exist. They're already open source. So one of the things that we had to focus on was, so what are we building here? What is this project all about? So when you think about the application layer, Bitcoin is essentially an application. And we try to use that as a general piece of technology that you can build other applications from. You're separate from the fact that it's really designed for a specific purpose. So the next layer is sort of the API libraries, the value add frameworks and so forth to build other types of solutions. And again, we aren't necessarily trying to say we have a prescribed what kinds of solutions can be built. So what we're really looking at is the lower level, right? The shared ledger component. That's the focus of this project. You can think about it almost analogous to the Linux kernel using Linux itself, right? So looking at the code execution environment, the ledger itself, the consensus framework, the identity services if it's a permission network, and then the network peers, whether they're validated or not validated, and so forth. So that's what's in the scope. That and the SDKs that you can use to build other solutions. And again, the hope is that we can use this and it becomes the de facto standard in other systems where it's a very open and can build on top of this. So this makes it a little bit less scary for some of the pre-existing projects. So when I think about the architecture, this originated from the contribution that IBM made, that we compare the various systems, and eventually we'll talk about the hackathon in just a moment, that we found that actually this architecture pretty much speaks to exactly what it is that we're trying to build here. So if we look on the so my left, your right, the membership services, this is the capability we have to register who's in the permissions network. So one of the things that we're focusing on, although it's not exclusive, is to build permission networks. So think about Bitcoin as permissionless, right? Anybody can join it. In case you know what you're dealing with necessarily. But in many of the use cases that we have, especially in the fintech industry, we want to deal with specific permissions. So it's no membership services. Then it's some of the application that some of this comprises consensus manager, so we want to have a hardware consensus capability so that there's different ways that you can determine whether or not every peer or enough of the peers agree on a certain transaction is actually taking place. We have a distributed ledger itself, right, which essentially is just a database. And then finally, on my right or left, we have a chain of smart contract capability. So this is where you would actually write a contract about what's going to happen between in a particular transaction, right? You can actually write that in code, and we store the smart contract in the blockchain itself, so it itself is secure, right? Nobody can be operating with rogue versions of the transaction, of the smart contract. So we, from the launch from the 30 initial members, we had 6 proposed code contributions from IBM and ourselves, but also from our other chain startups, Blockstream and Ripple, JP Morgan and Intel as well. So obviously 6 disparate different code bases, quite large code bases, with a lot of different design decisions. It was quite a challenge for us to actually look at how can we take what we all have and get it into one coherent project. And it was just going to take 6 months or a year and a half to be able to get there. So it was quite daunting at first, but then we really started to dig in. Chris will talk about face-to-face that we had last week. But once we started to dig in, we see there's a lot of different ways that we can integrate those. And really, even though some of us are competitors and some of us are completely different requirements for different use cases, we still managed to make progress there. It's actually right, even just the very nature of the contributions themselves. The IBM contribution within Golang, the digital assets code within Java, the Blockstream code is written in C++, the JP Morgan code within Haskell. Every single one of them, and then the Intel contributions within Python. So they're all different in terms of how they're implemented. And so what we said was what we need to do is sort of really get everybody together and actually start collaborating. Right? Start coming up that makes things to collaborate. How can we do what's in the digital assets code? Some of the really hard consensus capabilities from Blockstream and so forth. So our goal was to sort of bring the community together. And so we said, okay, so let's have a hackathon. Right? Let's bring all these experiments together, and let's actually get the developers and engineers from various companies collaborating together, whether they're doing something or not. And so we held a sort of open hackathon at JP Morgan in Brooklyn. So obviously the site will probably hold about 250 people. It's almost as big. I think it's about this big. It's huge. So we wanted to together, we started with some presentations of what each of the contributions were and what the proposed projects would be. We came up with 6 or so experiments that we could drive. And got the engineers together. The first day, everybody sort of talking. Not a lot of code's getting ready, but everybody's talking. Sort of feeling each other out. And then day 2, and then everybody's just hands up keyboards. Anyway, we started out with experimenting between digital assets, IBM, and Blockstream, just trying to put both sets of capabilities together. That was fun. Another was to actually write some smart contracts in chain code. And so the individuals are not often do that. You tend to do that with other people. And they have requirements and a likelihood of working with each of those, and about those people, they went off into their respective corners. And after 3 days, we had running code from each of these, from the two projects that were working on code. We had 2 separate people working on the API app, and one was working on the consensus part, bringing those 2 things together. TXO part. So those 2 groups actually realized that they were working on 2 sides of the same project, and they merged. So we had collaboration, we had joining, we had moving around of who's going to work on what. We had some of the engineers that worked with the code, helping the guys that were in chain code. It was really wonderful experience to see this level of collaboration. We had almost 60 people on the row, all collaborating together. So I was really thrilled just to be a bunch of IBM guys, a bunch of digital assets guys, a bunch of Intel guys, a bunch of Blockstream guys, all out in their own corners. Not at all. It was really a wonderful experience. And so at the end of that, each of the groups came up with a demonstrated running code, so we actually were successful in moving those code bases, the IBM code base, the digital assets, and the Blockstream. And they sort of proposed a follow-up. So I had actually sort of documented the formal sort of proposals for taking this to the next level, from an incubator project in the Hyperledger organization around this merged set of code. And we hope to have one of these about once a month going forward, at least for the next 4 or 5 months. So I'm really jazzed by this. I know, you came on the last day, and I think it must have been very impressed to see how much we've done in such a short amount of time. So really obviously this 30, we've grown by a third already. We've got quite a lot done in just 6 weeks, but we're always looking for more. There's a lot of work to do. So we're very happy for everyone to get involved. So please go to hyperledger.org or contact Chris on my straight more info. We'll be around for us today. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, guys. Great, thank you, Jem. Thanks so much. I looking at Jem, I realize I'm vastly overdressed, so I am going to live dangerously and open my second button here. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to see all of you, and I'm very, very honored to have the opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you this afternoon. Many thanks to the Linux Foundation, and in particular to Jim, to Mike, and Angela Brown for this kind invitation and their incredible hospitality. The scenery here is certainly very inspiring. Lake Tahoe is beautiful all year round, but in the wintertime, it's truly, as my 9-year-old exclaimed as we flew up from Southern California on Monday, a wonderland. I actually usually prefer a time slot later in the day, after 5 o'clock, the drink in my hand would be a little bit more stimulating than coffee, and any talk of mine would be a lot more interesting. So I've been looking forward to this talk for some time now, and I admit with a little bit of trepidation. After all, just looking look at all of you guys, all these accomplished and good-looking people who are leaders of companies and initiatives that are shaping the technology world. And then look at me, average height, I'm average hair, and as I rapidly approach the midpoint of my 30s, I am someone with a body mass index that I didn't realize was actually on the body mass index scale. So when I occasionally, so I also realized that the audience for this talk would consist of real and hardcore technologists and innovators. And I went to law school in part because I realized that I just wasn't as smart as anybody in this room. So despite stereotypes about Asian Americans being good at math, I really just didn't like math much, or science much. My older brother, who became an accountant, got the math gene. Still, I think I should be okay for a few minutes. And what I'm going to speak to you about will probably be a little bit different than what the other absolutely terrific keynote speakers have been talking to you about all morning. And I'm not going to talk to you guys about technology or technology trends because I'm not qualified to do that. I'm instead often asked to speak about the work I've done at Newegg fighting patent trolls for the past 10 years, patent abusers. And this is the reason for the slide deck that I won't be using. I just thought the graphic was very cool. So instead, what I'm going to be speaking to a room of idealistic innovators about is why I have fought against patent trolls and about driving positive change. And I'm going to ask each of you to drive some more positive change on your own. And if anybody gets tired of my rambling, please feel free to ask Jim for your money back. So to begin with, just a little bit of background about myself. So I'm a product of the American dream, the son of immigrants who came to America. And literally all my parents had were 2 suitcases each. So I was born in San Francisco to a librarian father and to a bookkeeper mother, and I spent the first 5 years of my life in Taiwan being raised by my grandparents. In 1976, the year I came back to America, both Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek died, and I swear I had nothing to do with either event, but I did come back to America. So if someone were to ask me what I would hope for at the end of my life, that would allow me to feel that I've lived well, I would with complete sincerity say, I would want to feel that I've been half the father to my own kids that all they thought it was to me. The passage of time actually mellowed my dad out. He remembered me as a well-behaved and obedient kid. I seriously doubt that he would agree, or he would have ever have agreed that I was a tiger father. After all, he always and repeatedly told me that grades never mattered to him, and all that mattered to him was that I tried my best. However, whenever I didn't get straight A's, I clearly wasn't trying my best, so he punished me. So in high school, though, I learned about this concept called circular logic. But it was okay. My dad was a librarian after all. So I grew up in the 1970s in a little town called Pacifica, which is about 20 miles south of San Francisco. And San Francisco, as many of you know, then and now is probably the most racially diverse and progressive city in all of America. There were a lot of Caucasians, a lot of African Americans and Hispanics, but very, very few Asians at that time called Pacifica home. I think when my brother and I were entering elementary school, there were pretty much the only Asian Americans. And the first question I was asked when I enrolled in 4th grade in Pacifica public schools was, "Are you related to Bruce Lee?" And so after everyone kicked my butt a couple of times, it was very, very obvious that I was at best a very distant cousin to Bruce Lee. He was from the Ruby Grant Lee family. So engineering and accounting professions looked very promising at the time. Too bad, unfortunately, I just wasn't smart enough. Now the kids who beat me up, they weren't just white kids wearing robes and whistling Dixie. I learned very early on that racial prejudice and discrimination is not restricted by race. Racism, ironically, is completely equal opportunity. The primary cause, ignorance, is also completely equal opportunity. And what enables racism is also ignorance, but power is necessary as well. I soon also learned that fancy academic pedigrees, good intentions, and the support of government officials, elected and appointed, could also mask ignorance, or at least ignorant action, that had a real and could have a very harmful impact on individuals based on their race. When I applied in 1984 to a magnet school in San Francisco, it was a public magnet school called Lowell High School. I was actually told that solely because I was of Chinese ancestry, I had to achieve a higher test score of the nation's index, 65 out of 69 points, literally translated to an A average. So Chinese kids in San Francisco, where historically discrimination against Chinese was lawful, I had to score higher than white kids, I had to score higher than other Asian kids, and I had to score higher than black Hispanic kids. And all of this was not only legal, but totally advertised. Harvard expert was a way to help black students academically and to achieve all the benefits of an integrated society. Of course, the kids of the Harvard educational expert didn't have to make sacrifices to attend a public school. That Harvard expert paid hundreds of thousands of dollars on boards advising school districts like San Francisco's to literally, graphically, obviously discriminate against members of the arguably most discriminated against ethnic group in California history. And even worse, in the 20 years that this program was in place in San Francisco, from the 1970s until almost the year 2000, academic performance for black and Hispanic kids in San Francisco actually got worse. So I can generally not use the phrase obvious discrimination describing what happened in San Francisco at that time, because even most race preference and affirmative action supporters now concede that the admissions program in place in San Francisco at the time was a mistake. They didn't hide it at that time under a holistic admissions label. And some refer to what happened in San Francisco as negative versus affirmative action because Asian Americans were disadvantaged versus even white students. But then as now, I fail to see, understand, or accept that discrimination based on race was ever something positive, or that individuals of Asian descent could ever be discriminated against relative to anybody in a justifiable way. To me, there's just simply no such thing as reverse discrimination. And there's never anything affirmative about treating individuals differently because of an immutable characteristic like race or gender. The arguments used to defend and promote race preference now sound very much like echoes to me because they were exactly the same arguments used to defend the San Francisco programs before anybody knew better. So I didn't think what was going on then was fair or right. But as an 8th grader, I had very limited options. I couldn't do anything. I saw friends whose parents were dishwashers turn away from a lot of job with mobility. For students whose parents were rich professionals, got in with often much lower test scores and grades. That's just not justice. That just can't be justice. I went through another round of the same in college admissions, but this time I started to do a little bit of research, and I was very surprised by what I found, that there wasn't a strong legal basis to support a discriminatory system that had existed for almost 20 years, cost taxpayers almost $500 million in busing and monitoring fees, and achieved no educational benefits for anyone, including African American Hispanic kids. In fact, the program was actually illegal. So why didn't anyone challenge this program? It wasn't because Chinese American parents and kids weren't being harmed or begging for help from the many Asian American civil rights groups.